Yeah, you better step into the light. Just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if...
Hello everyone, Narelle Warcon here. Lovely to see you all again this week, and welcome to our Who, What, Where Wednesday. Lovely to see you, Patricia. Thank you for joining us. Sorry that you're up late, or up early, should I say. But welcome everyone. Thank you once again from the bottom of my heart for your support, for coming in all over the world. For those coming in from overseas, thank you so much. I know that this is very early for you, and I appreciate your time. Now, today is our first week where we'll be introducing a guest speaker, and I'll get to introduce her very shortly. But I want to say that our Who, What, Where Wednesday is going to go under that name, but also the banner of Voice, Choice, Power, the Diamond Within. Hi, Jen. Lovely to see you. So what that means is that I want to bring out people from all walks of life, not just from ONPASSIVE, but all, friends that I've had on Facebook for some time, somebody that has something different to share, somebody that you might like to, ask questions of. So if you could leave asking questions till the end, that would be really great for us. Like I said, we have a wonderful guest speaker today, and I want to welcome you to Voice, Choice, Power, the Diamond Within. I do believe that we are all diamonds, and sometimes we're covered with things of life that we need to change, we need to look at, and taking the different... Hi, Narissa, lovely to see you. We need to, I suppose, when we listen to others, it makes us aware that we're not just alone. We're not going through life alone. We have a lot of support. We have people out there that come from different walks of life that are there to help us step through these times in our lives when we are going through some tough times. I've been through a lot of tough times. Like I said, you can have a look, go back over my videos over the last few weeks where I have shared with you the story of my life, or most of it, and also my book, Blonde Roots. We will go to my website a little bit later on, but right now I am very excited to introduce Deborah Mackay. Deborah is coming in from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Deborah and I met on Facebook. We've never met in person, but I'm sure one day that will happen soon. Deborah is an amazing lady with many life skills, with many or much life experience. And again, I'm sure that you will give her a hearty welcome. And as I introduce Deborah Mackay, over to you. Thank you. Welcome, Deborah.
Hi, Narelle, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Feeling a little bit nervous, as you know, but it's
just
all
one
good.
minute, Deborah. Just 1 minute. It just hasn't flicked over. So just give me a second so I can make sure that... There we go. There we is. It's working.
Awesome. Good to get all these little bugs ironed out. But yeah, once again, thank you for this invitation. I am, as you know, a little bit nervous, particularly being the first on your program, but we will get through it, I'm sure. Yeah. As Narelle says, I live in Brisbane, or I actually live halfway between Brisbane and the Gold Coast. Which is a great place to be. So, only half an hour to each of them, which is awesome. I tend not to go too much into Brisbane because I'm not really a city person. I'm more a country person, and I'm very lucky to be living on small acreage at the moment. So surrounded by birds, and yes, we're still surrounded by traffic, etc., but in this little haven, we don't hear it so much, which is lovely. So yeah, feeling very blessed for where I am being right now, and blessed for the rain that is happening after such a very long time of no rain. Everything was looking very dry and very, very stressed in our garden. So it's lovely to see the rain. Although I do feel for the birds. I've been having to feed them today because they find it difficult in this weather, I think, to find food. So, yeah, they know that I'm a Dutch. Yeah, and they always come and I feed them all sorts. They have a smorgasbord, so they're very welcome in my home. So a little bit about my journey. As Narelle said, we all have been through many different experiences in our lifetimes. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a different tangent in sharing a little bit of the physical and other aspects of my journey as well. So my life began with a bit of trauma at the very beginning when my mother passed away. I was about 20 months old at that time. My mother passed away, giving birth to my younger sister. So at that time, we basically lost Dad as well because he was quite devastated by that. We were very blessed to have an aunt who took care of us for a little while until Dad could get back onto his feet. I don't remember a lot about that time, of course, being as young as I was, but we ended up with a woman that was hired to take care of us, so I tend to call her my foster mother, who was herself quite a damaged lady, which was unfortunate for her. She had a very, very hard life that I found out as I grew, and she shared a little bit with me, but at the same time, she did perpetuate a lot of that on us, which could be difficult at times. But I found it really interesting in moments of difficulty when she was perpetuating something like that on me in particular. I would be just going through it, but at the same time asking God to forgive her and just saying that she doesn't know what she's doing, so please forgive her. I found that interesting. I found I could step back and witness what was happening. So I've known from a very early age that I have a different purpose on this plane, and that I have a connection that we all actually have, but a lot of us have forgotten that we have that. So always had a deep connection with animals. They've always been drawn to me. They would let me tend to them in times when they were hurt, when they wouldn't let their own owners do that. Had one aunt in particular, who always used to say that I was an old soul on young shoulders. So a lot of the time adults would share their difficulties with me, which I found quite interesting as well, but always took seriously, and very grateful that they thought that I could assist with helping them. So
I just want to pop, Deb, I just want to pop in there and just ask you a question, if you don't mind, before you go ahead.
Yeah,
You spoke about the your mum dying when you were very young. You know, obviously you wouldn't have even remembered that if you were only 20 months old. But you spoke about this lady who took you on, sort of like that foster mum. Is there something that you feel that you can look back on now with that and go, you know, even though you were forgiving her at that time, for you to be able to cope, do you think there was lessons in there that brought you through where you are today? You know, like, I just sort of want to sort of get a more of a grasp, I suppose, of how, you know, when you're a young child like that, it sort of influences you, but can you look back and see, you know, what that did to you that brought you forward to where you are?
Yes, of course, Narelle. But what the biggest takeaway for me was that not to take any of that personally, which is a huge spiritual learning on this plane for many people who into adulthood can't do it. But for me, it was not taking it personally. My brother and my sister on either side took it more personally than I did, and so that was very interesting. It also taught me that I was very strong to just stand on my own. Um, and what was even more interesting was that I was the one that stood up to her in times, and I won't go into things that she did to the three of us, but I was the one who stood up to her in those times, and it turned out later in still in my childhood, but she expressed the fact that I was her favourite, basically, and that because of that, really. And she was brave enough to share with me some of her journey because I could listen as well.
I think in that sense, there's a lot of healing on both sides there, even from that young age. You know, like she opened up to you, so there was a lot of healing for her, but she also
Yeah,
saw you, even as a young child, to be able to express some of the things that had happened with her, and that's a big brave thing for anyone to do. But to find that trust in somebody, that safe place, and even though you were young or probably too young to understand it fully, she was brave enough to open up to you to share some of those hurts and why
mm,
perhaps she you and your sister and brother like that. So sorry, I will
yeah.
let you continue now, but I just wanted
Oh,
to sort of
no,
open up a bit more. So, but go
yeah, no,
ahead.
that's fine. I'm just aware of limited time, so that's okay. Oh, that's why I'm just not going deeply into everything. But yes, no, exactly, Narelle. When she started sharing with me, I would have been maybe 14. Yeah, maybe around 14 years old. So still youngish, but old enough to understand anyway. Um, and yeah, she shared a lot more with me. A lot, in fact, that the others didn't know upon her passing. And when her daughter came before the funeral, etc., I was able to share things with her daughter that she didn't know as well. So yeah, it was. It was. I was very honoured that she felt that she could share that with me
Mm.
because it was very private and very
Yeah,
difficult for her. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. Yeah,
there's
I didn't want to
always
dive in there when you didn't feel comfortable. I just wanted to open it up for our listeners as well, because sometimes just going that one step further helps people to understand, a little bit more about what you're feeling at the time. But please go on with your love of animals, because I know everybody's waiting to hear that.
yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. My one of my aunts had a riding school, and at a very young age. I mean, we spent most weekends there, and I often say we were used as slave labour. So do a lot of my cousins, because we were. We would have to go and catch all the horses and groom them and get them ready for the people that were coming in to ride them and feed them when they came back, and take them back at the end of the day, etc., etc. But it always used to annoy me that she would send me out to catch all the nasty ones, the ones that no one else could catch, basically. Um, yeah, always, like, why me? Because some of the horses would come, charging at you with their ears flat back, teeth gnashing, etc. Another one would, come running at you and turn a rump on you and try and kick you, etc., etc. Um, and I'm sure if anyone was looking, it must have been quite funny for this tiny wee little person, because I was only very, very small at that particular time. And my sister was often sent with me, and she would stand behind me, bless her. But I would just stand there. I wouldn't run. I would just stand there and just, stop it. Stop right now. And they did. They didn't ever harm
Mm.
me. A lot of it was bluff, and so I would, be riding one and leading two or three others on the way home, and my sister would ride one and be leading another as well. So yeah, that was very interesting. But yes, again, as I said before, animals, dogs, horses, cats, that were wounded, etc., quite happily let me touch their wound, but they wouldn't allow their owners near it. So I also knew quite early that I had a healing ability as well, and I would help them with that, basically. So, yeah, that was a lovely part of my journey. As I moved, forward into my teenage years, I started having experiences where I would see events that were going to be unfolding for people that I loved, and they were not ever nice events. And being, late teens, I agonized over whether I should inform these people of what was to come, or whether I should just, keep my mouth shut. Some people I did tell, because what was coming I thought they needed to be prepared for. But I soon realized that it didn't change anything, and normally by the time the event happened, they'd forgotten, because I would actually sometimes see it months prior to it unfolding. I would just say, this is going to happen. Don't know when, but it's going to happen. And yeah, so that was a little bit frightening for me going through that stage. It was like, I'm not sure that I like being able to see this. But later on in life, discovered, that my abilities are clairaudient, clairsentient, and clairvoyant, and that was, an opening. I mean, even as a very young child, whilst I didn't know my mother, I would hear a voice, particularly when I was with my sister, because Dad would always send us out, and it was always, Deb, look after your sister, which my sister came to resent because I'm not the boss of her. But
as they do,
I know that. Yes, I fully know that. But she was accident prone, and so to this day there are events that she remembers me rescuing her from. So that's something nice. It's come out of it. But at the same time, yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I would hear a voice saying, Deb, take care of her. She needs you. And there were, times when she was being, which at that time I took that voice to be my mother. Not quite sure if it was or not, but took that she was watching over us, and yeah. So that, again, that was interesting. But
where did you work, Deb? Like, what have you done over in your life with work and stuff like that? And where are you at now?
I started out my working life as a junior office girl. Sports girl, actually, at that point in time, and that was quite a fun job, really. About the fact that I worked in the office, we got 20% off, high fashion clothes. So that was awesome. To be able to purchase these things, and because I used to make a lot of my own clothes, so it was nice to be able to go out and buy things. From there, I was poached actually by. I worked as a junior office girl under a secretary to the manager, the general manager, and when she left, she went to work for a fashion agency who supplied all of these stores, and she wanted to take me, so eventually I went with her as well. Started there as junior office girl, and when she left, the company had an awful struggle trying to find someone to come in and do the workload that she was doing. And after a little bit of time, realised that I was doing her work and my work in between all this times of not being able to find someone or not being able to get someone. So ended up being a very young secretary at that time. This is 20s, 1920, and very highly paid, which was lovely. But around about 21, I decided with my partner at that time that we wanted to go travelling Australia, which we did, and we ended up in a little small country town in South Australia along the Great Australian Bight, and spent 21 years of my life there, which was, interesting, and did a lot of different jobs there as well. I worked, first of all, behind the bar, etc. And of course, you get to know everyone in a small country town as well. everyone knows everyone. So everything that happened, everybody else knew. So yeah, but it was a lovely part of my journey. And then my partner and I, around my 40s, just before my 40th birthday, we split and went our separate ways. And at that point in time, my dad had been dealing with cancer for a number of years, and I hadn't been there apart from the occasional visit. And so I decided it was time for me to move back to Brisbane and spend the last whatever remaining time he had with him, basically, which was nice. He appreciated that, and it was nice to be with him. A little bit sad in a way too, because as he got worse and was bedridden, he shared also that he still missed our mum, even though he had remarried and at a very late stage. He'd remarried, been married for a few years when he passed, and Pat was a lovely, lovely woman, and I'm very grateful to her because she actually, my dad was, a workaholic, so she actually took him to concerts. He went to see Neil Diamond and a few other people like that, which was awesome. She actually got him travelling the country a little bit. He did come down to South Australia to visit before I left there as well, so that was awesome. Yeah, and then moved back to Brisbane. Not sure what to do at that stage, so I went through a period of cooking. And I had actually in South Australia, one of my jobs, I cooked for the local hospital there. So had a little bit of experience, and also cooked at the sports club. I ran the sports club for a wee while. And so moving back, just trying to feel my way. I started cooking. I cooked for a little cafe, but also a man who had several contracts. One was with CWA, where people came to stay when they were here in Brisbane, etc. And eventually moved on to studying a few different healing modalities. During that time, I was actually also doing stress relief work in corporate world, as in going in and doing, massages, etc., for, 10, 15 minutes, with the blessing of the companies, of course, and did that for a few years, and made some good friends out of that as well. And it was just awesome to see how stressed they were when they came in and how relaxed they were when they left, even in such a very short time.
I remember years ago that was a really big in thing, that they would bring in massage, because I'm a fully qualified masseuse myself. From years ago. I don't practice anymore for a long time now. But I remember when, especially in the big cities and things like that, how they brought in people to massage their staff. And I thought, how incredible is that? Like, firstly, to have it done to you in a work environment, but also the person doing the massaging, knowing what relief you would give, even in a short time. So I think that's super incredible. I don't know whether they still do that. They probably do.
I'm not sure, but they realised the benefits of it. And even some companies, towards the end of my journey in that particular area, some companies were even bringing in yoga therapists and Pilates and things like that, so that they could do that at lunchtime, or they actually allotted them time to take out, because they realised the benefits of having a more relaxed staff. Because they were much more productive when they were relaxed and stressed. So but again, yes, I am a qualified massage therapist, but not having used it for a very long time either. At the time that I decided to leave the stress relief, the company that I was working for also had an in-home massage, which I started to do as a way of paying the rent, basically, until I figured out where to go from there. And I also started doing that same massage at markets, at the Cleveland market, and had customers lined up, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And during that period of time as well, again, I was studying different healing modalities, kinesiology mostly, but within kinesiology, if you know kinesiology, there are many different strains. So, and worked at being a healing therapist for probably around 20 years, using these modalities until at one point in time, in the middle of doing some work on a client, I forgot what was meant to come next in a balance that I knew back to front. And at that time, while I was standing there being quite confused and going, what's happening here? Heard very clearly, just heal. You know how to do that. And so from that point in time, that's what I did. I just did whatever they needed. And continued on that journey for a while until, again, at one point, just heard very clearly it's no longer your journey to heal others. And so moved forward into more unseen work, basically, assisting other beings with different work. So yeah, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm also, apart from being at a retiring age, I am working on a school bus where we pick up special needs children. And that's very interesting. I'm very lucky on the bus that I'm driving at the moment. We have awesome kids, and
Yeah.
it's
How
sometimes quite
beautiful is
challenging.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just I can see the smiles on their faces when, because you've got such a loving, giving heart too, but you're also firm. And that's how
yeah,
a lot of people see me, as I'm quite a firm person, and I was a firm mother. So my kids tell
right,
me. But the thing
yeah,
is, I think it's you've got to be firm and fair.
yeah,
As a single mum, that sort of thing, I think it's really hard to find that balance between firm and fair, but you do eventually find it. So working with special needs has got to be an absolute treasure also, because each day would be so different as to where
mm,
they are on how their morning was, or how their night before was, and things like that. And just before I
yeah.
let you go ahead there, I'll just ask anybody who's listening in today, if they have any questions, if you could just start writing them in the chat box, and then we'll come to those very soon. But I'll let you continue on with what you do for the special needs and driving the bus.
Yeah, as I said, it is an honour, and something that I haven't mentioned before or didn't think of until now. But throughout my life, I've gone where I'm needed. I just get it. This is where you need to be now, basically, and that's where I go. So I've never had a fixed abode, which is interesting. But yes, and some of the places I've been asked to go is like, really? Not something that I would have thought of myself.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because this company that I'm working for, whilst I was caring for my brother, I cared for him for the last 5 years of his life. Um, I often saw an ad for drivers or carers, and I thought, wonder what that is. And it was just so interesting that after my brother passed, and I seriously needed to look for some income, this is what came up. And went for the interview and just was told straight away that yes, you've got it. I mean, I had driven a taxi before in a very small country town where we transported a couple of special needs children to casino. I lived in Kyogle, so we transported them to casino, and that was like, oh, you've done it before. So yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, as you say, the children are awesome. I've had different carers come on the bus, and sometimes relief carers come on the bus, and it's been really lovely of them to say to me, that despite me being the driver, I'm the one they defer to, not the carers. They'll yell out, Deborah, is this right, or whatever. They'll just ask whatever question, and it's really nice that some of them have recognised that they trust you, and that's
Yeah.
why they defer to you all the time, which is lovely. Because as you say, yes, I have I do have a very loving heart, but I am firm with them. Like just recently we've had, one of the girls hit little boy that sits in front of her on his head, and it's like, straight away looking at her, I just look at them in the rear vision mirror as we're driving and go, excuse me, young lady, look at me. That's not on, and I want you to be a big grown-up girl and apologize. And they do most of the time,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just awesome.
And I
So
think it's about
yeah.
setting those boundaries, isn't it? Like I say I'm firm, and people, like I said, my kids probably said I'm over firm, but you build a different confidence within the children, whether it's your own children or whether it's these with disabilities, that you build that certain trust, you build a stronger person within them by setting those boundaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. So I'll just move along quickly because I can see a couple of questions coming through. But if you just want to finish up with the last little bit of your story, then we can go over to those questions because I know there's one asking about your painting.
Oh,
But finish
yeah.
off, and then we'll come back to that. So
Yeah, I think we're pretty much there because I was aware that we had limited time. But yeah, that's where I am now, working with these special needs children and driving the bus, and spiritually doing different work, which involves being unseen and not, which is not, again, to say that I do still have a few long-term clients that occasionally need healing, and want a healing session with me, and I still do that. But it's not something that's my journey so much now. So yeah, so that's pretty much me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that you're an absolute blessing to many and have been over the years, as you've explained, right from childhood through the years and what you've done. So you're not only a blessing to us as friends, people, but also to animals. And I know, and I just want to share with those on Facebook that Deborah has these amazing birds that come to visit, that it's been raining heavily down there for the last few days. So it's a bit hard because they're wet, they're drenched, they're looking for food, which is a bit hard when it's so heavily raining. So Deborah put up these pictures of these beautiful rosellas, I believe they are, or king parrots. There might be some of those. And also Deborah has... Sorry?
They're mostly just the rainbow lorikeets. We do have occasional king parrots in, and the corellas, and a lot of the ducks.
It's just beautiful. Yeah. God certainly had his paintbrush nice and bright when he made those, and gave the colours to those. The other thing is Deborah also loves her flowers, which I love flowers, but Deborah has some beautiful orchids that are about and just beginning to flower. So, when you sort of resonate with somebody, it's on different things, and it could be just as simple as Deborah put up a picture of her beautiful orchids, and I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm a florist by trade, so I want to see the photos, so but Deborah, thank you once again. It has been an absolute honor having you here today. So we're going to go over to some questions, and one, hi Wes, how are you going? I will say some hellos as well. Wes asked, what is the significance of the lotus painting behind you? Is it a lotus? I can see it now.
It is a lotus. Yeah. I'm trying to move out of the way so you can actually see it. Where was I? There. Yeah. It's really hard.
Right, we can see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, the significance for me, again, things come to me at different times of my life, and this came as I was moving from my previous home in Pimpama to this one. I was walking, I was just actually waiting for my car to be repaired, so killing time, and went to have a look at one of those homeware places, and this was right in the door as I walked in, and reduced massively, and I just stood in front of it and went, "You're mine." So to me, it signified the next part of my spiritual journey. Because each time I move, there is a different energy and a different path for me to walk on. So that's the significance to me, basically, was, okay, you need to come with me right now for my new home. Yeah.
And that happens sometimes. It's like the bird picture behind me. It's really big. It's about 5 foot tall.
Yes.
It's one of those I walked in. I had a spot in the house. I needed it to have some oranges and things like that. I love greens. And my mum was a lover of birds, bless her soul, because she's been gone about uh, 11 years, and she was a bird lover. But she collected little ceramic birds as well. So it sort of gave me a little bit of a warm hug in a sense, as in a painting. And as soon as I saw it, I
Yeah.
just went to my son, that's fine, pick it up, we're taking it.
Yeah.
I don't care what the cost is. I did care what the cost was, but, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's just something you had to have. So your painting is beautiful. Like you said, it's going to continue on with your journey, different energies, and where you are right now in your life. So I'm going
Absolutely.
to just go over to the chat really quickly and just say a few hellos. So Wes, thank you so much for joining in this week. Jean, thank you. I appreciate you coming in from the US. Narissa, thank you so much. And Parvit, I believe you're coming in from India. Also, yes, you're very proud of ONPASSIVE. We all are. Thank you so much. We also have, I saw Tanya let's say Tanya ONPASSIVE, because I think her surname is Karajanovic. And Tanya, I know you'll give me a hard time about that. Judy Reese, lovely to see you. It really is wonderful. We'll be having another guest speaker come on, as well as we're showing, the diamond within. And certainly Deborah has shown that and shining her diamond. So if you have anybody, or if you'd like to come on yourself, please send me either an email or contact me via Facebook. My email is just narelle@narellewarcon.com would be fine, or you can send a message on my website. I'm just going to pop over there quickly, Deb, just to show people my website, and bring up just my blogs. I do blogs basically every day. So this is my blog. As you can see, how we live is what makes us real. And that takes a lot of thought. So I'm just going to show you my blog page. You would have seen me put up today. Today, I want you to think about all that you are instead of all that you are not. And I think it's really important that we start to share this with many people, our friends, our family, and those that we even don't know, in lifting spirits within our world, so that we can start to get back from a place of love and not a place of fear. So what makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful, and pain changes people. And I know that. I've suffered a lot of pain in my life, but you know what? So does love. And that really stood out for me, because all the pain that I've been through, I suppose it's the love or understanding or caring from other people. So you do know that I have started carnivore. I wanted to share with you all today about my carnivore journey. I have started a YouTube channel called Carnivore Aussie Style. It's just somewhere for me to share with others who may be starting on this journey, who may already have started. But it's about, keeping a place for people to know what I'm doing and things like that. So carnivore has been really important. As you can see, I have lost some weight. I have, I'll just go back if that's okay. I have gone, and started. It was the 30th of April. Like I said, I have a new carnivore channel. It's called Carnivore Aussie Style. I will be doing a live there tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And thank you, Jean. I really enjoy doing the little blogs. It helps me in my journey to healing. I think we're all healing at different stages in our life. I think that it's important that we reach out to those, like I said, instead of living in fear, whether it's about business, whether it's about ONPASSIVE, whether it's about your life journey, or whether it's just about your children and things like that. You go through so many stages in your life where things affect you differently. Like I said, I've been through a lot of pain, and it was when it stood out to me that pain changes you. It certainly does. But love is so much greater than any pain that you can have. So I love the dear Lord. I thank him every day for everything that I have. I feel blessed. I feel honored to know each and every one of you, because it really is important, these connections that we have. Honestly, I just have grown so much in the last, I'd say even just a few months. I went through, had a heart attack last year. I had a mosquito bite me. It took me out for 6 months in chronic pain. Thought I was doing really good at the beginning of this year. It hit me again with a flare up. So I was out again for, or struggling with pain daily to be able to cope with life. And I'm starting to get better again, and praise the Lord again for where I am, because my journey, I think he sort of does it to me when he says, "You're doing too much, Narelle." And he takes me out. Let's just leave it at that. Narissa, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Glenda, thank you so much. Glenda's in South Australia, so really appreciate you coming in and joining us. I know that Suula McCormick, she was coming in. She's now over in New Zealand looking after her mum with dementia. Suula, we always send you prayers and love. I know that this is a very hard and difficult time for you, because you've had to leave your family to go and look after your mum. So I appreciate all of the support that you have given me and continue to give me. But please know that you're in my prayers always with, looking after your mum. I know that I know that Jean has gone through this. I know that Jane Redfern also has a mum with dementia. It's not a nice thing to go through, but we send you lots of love. So please have a look at my links there. You can ask me. Like I said, if you'd like to come on to my Voice Choice Power, The Diamond Within, I know each and every one of you has something that you can share. As you can see today, Deborah has been my first guest. I'm honoured, and I would love to see many more of you come on and just share a little bit about yourself, because you don't know who you're touching. Okay, my story, which I've told over the last few weeks, when I started my YouTube live streaming, and I shared my story with you because I am a published author. My book is called Blonde Roots, and it's a journey of my triumph over sexual, physical, and mental abuse. And it takes you on a little bit of a journey with me. I'm very raw and I'm very real, and that's how I show up in life. So I want to thank you all again, because, like I said, it's an absolute blessing to know each and every one of you, and thank you so much for your support. Deborah, thank you once again. And if anybody wants to reach out to Deborah for just to say g'day or hello, sorry, the old Aussie coming out in me, just to say thank you. I can always pass on messages as well. So I do appreciate you all being here today. Remember to pop over to my narellewarcon.com website. You can leave a comment there. You can also subscribe to my channel as well. And also, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please go and subscribe. I do some videos I've done over the last years, but I do appreciate your support in subscribing, liking, sharing. Ring the bell for the notifications. We come live once a week at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night for Who, What, Where Wednesday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. But if you click into the live, once we take it over to the live link, it will tell you the time in your area or country. So again, like I said, I really appreciate you being here today. Deborah, thank you so much for being my first little bit of a guinea pig, but we got it working. So love to you. And
such an honour.
Thank you.
Thank you.